Welcome to the public speaking course. My name is Bumi Toko and I'm your course instructor. Now, you're going to love this course because this is a practical course where you get to be in the driving seat where you can practice what's being taught. You will learn exceptional useful skills because I believe that public speaking is a very valuable skill that I'm hoping will actually help you to increase your reach, increase your income, increase your potential as you practice the principles laid down in the course. I'm really looking forward to helping you become a great public speaker. So I'll see you on the inside. Hi there, my name is Bumi Toko and I'm your course instructor. Before you dive into the course, could you please head over to the discussion section and put in your name, the country you're from, and what you hope to get out of this course. It will help us to get to know each other and for other students also to get to know you. So, before you dive into the course, like I said, discussion section, and then I'll see you on the inside. Let's have an introduction to the course. What's going to be in the course? How is it structured so that we can better prepare for what's ahead? Okay, I'll be teaching you how to reprogram your mind for public speaking success. I'll also show you the techniques that you can use to overcome stage fright and shyness and nervousness and all that kind of stuff that tends to put us off public speaking. You'll also learn what great speakers do so that you can just simply copy their habits and inculcate that into your routine so that you also become a great speaker. Then we'll learn how to captivate your audience, choosing the right topics for you that would enable you to become much more passionate and enthusiastic. And then you'll understand how to prepare for your speech. Now, the course is structured around this. Okay, what you have is the section introduction, followed by an exercise to do, then the lectures and concluding remarks. But I want to say something before we go on. Please make sure you practice what is taught because that is the key to your improvement and development. There's no point just hearing all the lectures and saying, oh, well, that sounds good, or wow, that's great, oh, whoa, interesting, and then not practice it. So you got to practice so that you can develop and grow into a great speaker. All right? So see you on the inside. In this lecture, I want to talk about mastering public speaking. Mastering public speaking. Let's read this. It says, our fear of standing up in front of a group and talking is so great that we fear it more than death. In surveys, at least. This is from Psychology Today in 2012. What's happened over the years is that we needed to have mastered public speaking, not public speaking avoidance. People have now mastered public speaking avoidance instead of public speaking. So, let me give you a little bit of background about myself and then tell you about my own story. When I was at school, I used to get called out of the assembly line because of things I did wrong or things I did badly. And so I remember the first few times I came out, I was so nervous. But as I went on to college, I realized that speaking to a group of people was not as bad as I thought at all. So, once I realized that, I then said to my friends at college, I said to them, you know what, you guys, you go do all the work, go research and put together the report, and all I'll do is I'll deliver the report. I'll present it. Because I realized that all my friends, whenever we had coursework that involved public speaking or presentation, we used to call it in those days, they used to try and lobby the lecturer to remove the presentation element from the coursework. And I couldn't really understand that, but I then realized that the reason why they were doing that is because they hated public speaking. Now, I used to tell them, you go do all the work, give me the report, I'll present. And that's how I got away with doing any kind of research or doing major work. But what happened was, looking back at it, we both lost. I mastered research and administration avoidance. They mastered public speaking avoidance. And as such, they never improved in their public speaking. And I had to learn research and administration later on in my life. So really, we both lost out. Avoidance is never the key. You know, I remember this. If you call someone to come and speak, people who have mastered the art of public speaking avoidance, they'll beg you, they'll cry, they'll scream, they'll run out of the room. They'll do anything because most people master public speaking avoidance. Why? I think the reason is we all forget one thing. Public speaking is a skill. If you're going to take something away from this lecture today, understand this. Public speaking is a skill. Any skill can be learnt. Public speaking can be learnt. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to help you to do is not to avoid public speaking. I'm going to bring you to the place where you become confident in public speaking, because public speaking can be fun. See you in the next lecture. In this lecture, I want to talk about how to boost your value by 50%. Why you need to boost your value by 50%. And I want us to look at this particular quote from Warren Buffett. He says, Warren Buffett once told a class of business students that he will pay anyone in the room $100,000 for 10% of their future earnings. And if, now listen to this, this is really crucial now. He says, if they were good communicators, he would raise his bid by 50% because public speaking will make his investment more valuable. This is Warren Buffett, 2014. He should know. He's a billionaire. Okay. So he knows. He's employed people. He's done business at the highest level. So he understands what he's talking about. You need to learn how to speak better. You need to learn how to be a good public speaker. So why do you need this skill? Let's talk about this first. Public speaking is a skill. Honestly, you can say that to yourself again and again. Public speaking is a skill. And because it's a skill, it can be learned. Public speaking is like driving. It's a skill like driving. So think about the first time you go into a car. Okay. You go into the car, you were thinking about so many things. You were thinking about the mirrors. You were thinking about the gears. You were thinking about the wipers. You were thinking about the indicators. You were thinking about the horn. You were thinking about all kinds of stuff. And your mind was just all over the place. It took you ages to get from A to B because you were thinking about it. But after a while that you learned how to drive, you don't even think about it anymore. My wife had to do a driving test a few times before she passed. But now she gets into the car, she doesn't even think about it. She just drives. Why? Because public speaking, like driving, is a skill. And when you do that, just like you can visit people and, impact people's lives when you drive, because you can give people lifts, you can visit, you can do all kinds of stuff in the car, you can learn in the car, you can do all manner of stuff. Driving is a good thing to have. Just like public speaking is a good skill to have. It creates the opportunity to impact other people. You can impact one-to-one, but by public speaking, you can impact people one-to-many. Who wants to get to the end of their life to meet their maker, and then they discover that they could have impacted 1,000 people, but because of public speaking avoidance, they were only able to impact 10 when they could have impacted 1,000? Who wants to get to the end of their life and think like that? Oh no. You can learn this skill because it's a skill. Number 2 reason why I believe you need this skill is that public speaking opens the door to more job opportunities. What I noticed over the years is that people who dislike public speaking, what they've done is they've mastered avoidance.
By that, they even avoid jobs that are well paid simply because they don't want to stand in front of a team of people and speak in public. Come on, you gotta make a change. You gotta make that change today. I'm talking to you about making that change today. Now, finally, a third reason why you need to learn to speak more confidently is about it creates the opportunity to increase your income. When you can speak or communicate better, communicate confidently to a team or group of people, you can increase your income by running your own workshops, by speaking at seminars, by speaking on videos, by promoting products, by doing all kinds of stuff that can increase your income by 50%. What would you do today with a 50% increase in your income right now simply because you learned a skill? Let me end by saying this. Public speaking is a skill, and the more you practice, the more you know how to do it, the more you become confident, and the sooner you can boost your income by 50%. Remember in the beginning of the course, I told you that public speaking is like driving? And I was speaking to a driving instructor who told me this. He said that driving is 20% skill and 80% confidence. Oh, that's amazing. Driving, learning to drive, is 20% skill, 80% confidence. So the more confidence you have, and the less doubt you have, the more confidence you have, the more easier it will be for you to learn to drive. So let's bring it into the public speaking domain and say it like this. You want to be doing everything in your power to get your confidence level up. That's what you want to do. So we're going to learn a couple of things now. What you say affects what you do. What you say affects what you do. If you tell yourself you're no good, you're going to start feeling no good, then the actions are going to be no good. So we're going to take an exercise right now just to prove that to you. Right, we're going to do this in two ways. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to tell ourselves, oh, I'm not happy, I'm feeling down, things are not working for me, blah, 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 and all those kind of negative stuff that we say sometimes. And I want you to think about how you felt. Then we're going to swap it around, and we're going to say other things like, I'm so great. I'm going to deliver my speech so well. I'm going to do excellent, and, all that kind of stuff. And then we want to see how we feel. So let's give it a go right now. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to tell ourselves, oh, I'm not feeling good. So I'm going to just give you some example and you can just follow me. Oh, things are not working for me. Oh, every time I try, it just seems like I'm not getting anywhere. When I go up to speak, things just don't work. I don't feel good about what I say. I'm probably no good anyway. And I just feel so nervous when I get up there. I cannot believe it. I feel really nervous. Even now, just thinking about it, I just feel nervous. Now, do you know something? Do you know how I felt? I felt low. I felt like, I really should not be doing this. And this is just not me and all the other stuff. Now, I'm going to switch it now. And I'll say to myself, wow, I feel good. Ooh, I just feel great. I know I'm going to deliver a perfect speech today. People are going to love what I say. Oh, people are all just waiting to hear what I have to say. My goodness, I've got so much to share with people. Oh, they're going to be blessed today. My goodness, that felt so different. So we're going to learn what the average person who hears or who hates public speaking says, and what the successful speakers say to themselves. Let's go straight into the lectures. See you soon. In this lecture, we're going to begin to look at the psychology of public speaking. And in this particular part, we want to focus on the internal dialogue that goes on in the mind of somebody who hates public speaking, or somebody on the average who doesn't like public speaking. What kind of dialogue goes on in their mind? let me say this. The reality of the matter is that you cannot really avoid public speaking, whether you go to a friend's party or you just want to do a toast or somewhere at work, you're going to give a speech. Really, the higher up you go, the more you will have to have some form of public speaking anyway. So let's deal with this kind of words or sentences you make to yourself. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like public speaking, or somebody who thinks they're not good enough to do public speaking, this is what goes on in their mind. Let me tell you some of them. Number one is they think, oh, I need to get it over and done with. They want to simply just race through the speech they've prepared so that they can just get it over and done with. That's a common mistake, because in reality, what actually happens is that you're not delivering a great speech simply because you want to rush through it. And when you rush through your speech, you lose the audience. So what you and I want to do is to take our time to actually deliver the speech instead of trying to rush through it, because we've told ourselves, I want to get it over and done with. And remember that, people can come up to speak, and before maybe they have like 10 minutes to do a speech or something. And within 2 minutes, they're done because they just rush right through it. So we really don't want to do that. We want to take our time. Talk deliberately. Slow down. You might speed up sometime, but slow down more of the time so that you can deliver a speech at the moment or for the moment. Another kind of dialogue that goes on in the mind of somebody who hates public speaking is this: I know it, I'm going to make a mistake. I know it, I'm going to make a mistake. Well, you know what? Everybody makes mistakes. No matter how good you are, there are times when you make mistakes when you're giving a speech. Nobody will know it unless you allow the mistake to stop you. So this idea of having to cram a course, or having to memorize a course, or having to memorize your speech, by the way, is not the best way. What you need to do is know your material. When you know your material, it's easy for you to stray off your material. And to you, that might be a mistake, but to your audience, they don't even know you're making a mistake. So it's only when you allow the mistakes you make to actually stop you from delivering your speech, that's when your audience get to know about it. So really, making mistakes is not the issue. Making mistakes is not the issue. There's one more internal dialogue that I want to look at here, which is this. It says, I can't remember anything. Many times when people start giving a speech, they tend to think to themselves, oh my goodness, I'm not going to remember anything. Which is like, they feel that once they go up there, they visualize themselves going on stage and just drawing a blank. It really doesn't happen like that. And if it does happen like that, it's because you allowed the fear to paralyze you. It doesn't need to be that way. Honestly, it doesn't need to be that way. One of the ways to get around this is to just carry a cue card that has just a 5x3 card that has the key points you're going to talk about. Just put that on the podium or something and just do your talk. Make sure you know your talk before you start giving one. All right? That's the way to get over that. So there's nothing like you won't remember anything. You will remember if you don't let the fear paralyze you. So those three kind of internal dialogue can actually stop you from giving great speeches. I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome back. We're going to carry on with the psychology of public speaking, and we're still going to look at some more internal dialogue that goes on in the mind of the average person that hates public speaking. So what kind of dialogue goes on in their mind? Well, here's another one that says, people will know that I'm not funny anyway. You know what? Okay, it's true that it's good to inject humor into your speech to inject some jokes into your speech. It makes people feel more relaxed, and it makes your audience kind of be able to connect more with you because you make them laugh, and so they're relaxed enough to kind of think about what you're saying, and they enjoy it, they're entertained and all that. Okay, that's true. However, it is better to deliver good content than be making jokes. I don't care how much jokes you can make. If I came to listen to a course on, how to build a website, for example, and all you did was joke around all the time, I'm going to hate myself for going to that kind of course, and I'm going to just dislike you as a public speaker. I'm going to feel cheated because you didn't deliver what you said on the tin. So the truth is, yeah, it's good to inject some fun, some jokes, and that will come the more experienced you become. So even if you don't feel funny, people are more concerned about the content you deliver than the jokes you can deliver. So don't put yourself under pressure. So stop saying to yourself, I'm not funny anyway. All right. Some people will say, I lack confidence. The truth of the matter is this. Most people, when they go up to speak, always feel some butterflies in their stomach. No matter how good, this is my opinion, I actually think no matter how good you are, the moment you're called to come up and give a speech, I think for nearly everyone, you still feel a little bit of butterfly in your stomach. You still feel a little bit nervous. But what the professional public speakers have come to learn is that they can control that butterfly, and they don't let themselves think because they get a little bit nervous. Therefore, they lack confidence. No, that's not true. And you don't lack confidence simply because you feel a little bit nervous either. Come on, it's natural. It's normal to feel a little bit nervous. But stop telling yourself that you lack confidence, because that's not true. Because if you lack confidence, you won't be taking any action. But because you're going to take an action, that means that you're trying to work against and overcome your mindset that says you have, that says you lack confidence. So, the way to deal with this is that feel the fear and do it anyway. As Susan Jeffers says, feel the fear and do it. Even if you feel you lack confidence, just go up and still speak. Okay? That's the way you gain confidence, and you overcome the fear that you may feel of not having any confidence. Sitting in your chair and staying there and avoiding public speaking is never gonna help you to get the confidence that you need, even if you feel you have no confidence anyway. So the best thing to do is just go up there and give your speech, knowing that the nerves are actually good. A little bit of being nervous is good for you because it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you on edge, and it gives you the edge. We're still talking about the psychology of public speaking, and we're looking at this second part of the lectures, because this particular group of lectures will deal with the internal dialogue that goes on in the mind of the successful now public speaker. We looked earlier on the internal dialogue that goes on in the mind of the average person that hates public speaking. So we're now going to look at the internal dialogue that goes on in the mind of the successful public speaker. What does the successful public speaker say to themselves about the speech they're about to give and about the job they are going to be doing, which is to talk to people, either motivating them or teaching them a skill or passing across some kind of information or content? What goes on in their mind? What do they say to themselves that props them up, that makes them deliver great speeches most of the time? I didn't say perfect, I said great, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no perfect speeches. They are great speeches. They're awesome speeches. They're wonderful speeches. Okay. So what kind of dialogue goes on that person's mind? Well, the first thing that I think goes on in their mind is they tell themselves that, oh my goodness, I can deliver. I can do it. There's a saying that if you say you can, you are correct. If you say you cannot, you're correct too. So what do you say to yourself? They say, I can deliver. I know I can deliver. You know why they can say that? Because that person focuses on their particular abilities that's going to help them to deliver a great speech. That's all they do. Okay? They're going to be looking at the good part of what they are able to do, as opposed to the negative part, as opposed to the things they don't know. They're going to be focusing on what they know, and that's going to help them to tell themselves continually that I know I can deliver a great speech today. Here's the next point. Somebody who is a successful public speaker, they say to themselves, I have prepared well. And knowing that they prepared well, they remind themselves that they've prepared well. You never go up to give a speech that you have been warned about or you are aware of without preparing well. Okay, and just think, I'm just going to go there and blag it. You cannot just go there and blag it. You got to prepare well. So somebody who's prepared well, remind themselves that they've prepared well, and they will have, like I said earlier on, they'll have their notes to help them remember some things. They'll be conversant with the subject. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more late. I'm going to talk to you later about that, about choosing how to choose the best subjects to speak about. Okay. And they'll be conversant with what they've learned. So they'll start feeling that sense of confidence and remind themselves that they have prepared well. All right. The third thing that goes on in the mind of the successful public speaker is this. I'm focused on helping the audience. I'm focused on helping the audience. You know what? If you're focused on helping people, suddenly the limelight shifts from you to them. And now you're not thinking about yourself. You are less self-conscious when you're thinking about how you're going to help someone else. All right. So the successful speaker is thinking about how they can best help the audience as opposed to how they're feeling and what they're going through and the things they've not learned and all the other stuff that maybe the average public speaker that hates public speaking will say to themselves. So they're very much aware, very much acquainted with the audience as well. Okay, because if you're going to go give a speech to an audience, it's better for you to be acquainted with the audience you're going to speak to so that you can really resonate with them. All right. So the successful public speaker is really engrossed, is the right word to use, with helping other people. And as such, they take the focus away from themselves and they can say, you know what? I'm so focused on helping people. I just want to help people today. All I want to do is when I get up there to speak, I want to make sure that people are going to be blessed. They're going to learn. They're going to be able to do well in their business or in their careers or whatever you're speaking about. And so I'm focused on that. As you do that, come on, guess what happens? You're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about helping other people. And when you do that, you have a better chance of delivering great speeches. Welcome back. We're talking about the psychology of public speaking, and we're focusing right now on the internal dialogue that goes on in the mind of the successful public speaker. What do they say to themselves? What are they constantly thinking about and talking about within themselves? One of the things they say is this: I have something to give. A good speaker backs up his worth and improves his self-confidence by believing in the value and the importance of his message or speech. He believes that he can make a difference and that the audience need him. Oh my goodness. This is so powerful, so strong, so evident in the way that successful public speakers, either male or female, give speeches. They believe that they have something to give. They believe they have something to offer. On the contrary, somebody who hates public speaking says to themselves, I have nothing to give. I have nothing to offer. Who's going to listen to me? And all that kind of negative stuff. But the successful public speaker reminds themselves that they have something to give. In fact, they actually make the audience vote along with them to say, yeah, it's true, you do have something to give. So really, when we're thinking about giving a speech, You're going to say to yourself, I've got something to offer. Think about this. Who will call you to give a speech if they do not think you have something to say? So even if you're not going to vote in your own confidence, vote in the confidence of the person who called you to give a speech. They must know that you are capable. That's why you're called. So let's remember that as we give our speeches. Right. Again, the person feels, he or she feels, I will be well received. You know what? This goes hand in hand with self-confidence. A successful speaker believes in himself and that he will be well received by his audience. This belief is manifested in holding eye contact with the listeners, having good points, and managing to stick to them throughout the speech. The person exerts confidence, speaks clearly and coherently. He or she is practically a magnet because they believe they're going to be well received. Do you know that the average person that hates public speaking thinks that the audience hate them? They really think that the audience are their enemies. That's not true. The audience loves you. The audience wants you to do well. You know, I remember when I was at school, I used to do presentations at school. And all my friends who hated presentation used to say to us, that, oh, look how she's looking at me. Look how he's looking at me. He really doesn't think I'm that good, did he? He doesn't think I'm that good. But the reality of the matter is they're not looking at you to fail. They're even sitting down there being nervous because they're going to make their own speech in the moment as they're nervous for themselves. They don't have no time to be thinking about you failing. They're actually thinking about what they are going to be doing in the moment. So really, the audience love you. The audience want you to do well. The audience are backing you. Honestly, just believe that you'll be well received. All right. Finally, on this point, what goes on in the mind of the successful public speaker? They really feel they're going to be honest. They're going to do well. They're not there to tell fibs or to mislead their audience. No, they're there to be open to the audience. They have integrity. So they're thinking about their integrity. They're thinking about how they can help the audience, as I said earlier. So they're open to help people. And so therefore their life is open and they're there to be a good support. So they're thinking, about being honest, walking in integrity and thinking about how they're going to help people to be successful in whatever they're speaking about. So really, the communication that goes on in the mind of a successful public speaker is what's helping them to actually become very successful. So we've got to adapt those to our own lives so that we can do better and increase in what we're doing. This is a quick reminder about discussions and review. So if you have any suggestions on how the course can be improved, please inbox me and I'll fix it quickly. And feel free to post any useful information you think may be of benefit to other students. The second thing I want to remind you about is, if you've gained any value from the course, kindly post a review as soon as possible so that we can spread the word about the course together. And finally, if you have any personal questions, remember that I'm here to help you. So just inbox me and I'll answer it as soon as possible. I'm always online, so just send me an inbox and I'll get back to you very quickly. All right, see you soon. The very first time a learner gets into a car, they feel frightened, overwhelmed with all the stuff they need to learn and know and still be able to stay on the road. They just feel so frightened and fearful. Now, it's the same as public speaking. The very first few times you go on to stage to speak, of course you're frightened. Of course you're fearful. Then guess what most people do? They give up. Instead of getting over it, they just stop taking action. So what we want to learn to do over the next few lectures, we want to learn about taking action. So to help you to do that, I want to give you an exercise to pursue this week. For the next 7 days, talk to at least 2 people a day. Go up to some strange person on the road and and ask them for direction or where to find something or where to buy something. Just talk to two people you don't know. As you do that, you break out of your comfort zone, develop what it takes to stand confidently and speak, and before you know it, you're going to become one of the great public speakers. See you in the lectures. When you go to give any kind of presentation, you have an asset, and that asset is your body. So I'm going to show you how to use your body in the 7 simple techniques section of this particular course. So let's get right into it. These simple tips that are designed to help you use your body to overcome stage fright or shyness, okay? So I'm going to give you these techniques that are going to help you by the use of your asset, which is your body, to overcome any kind of stage fright or shyness. And if you do them, you will get tremendous amount of results like I've got, and you can get the same too. The first thing I want to talk about is to work on your breathing. And you know, what's interesting was that there was a time I went on a course on public speaking. Yeah, I've been on courses on public speaking. Okay. But this particular one that I really remember was going on this course. It was so far from my house and I had to travel miles and miles to get there. But I went there, I think I went there about 3 or 4 times. But on the first lecture, I got something from that class, the very first lecture. The woman taking the class said, you know what? Let me teach you how to breathe before you give a presentation. So I'm like, okay, I want to listen to that. So she said, breathe out deeply and you will automatically breathe in. So let's try that. Just breathe out. Just go. Very long breath. You will find yourself automatically, you're going to breathe in. Not this breathe out, breathe in stuff. No. Just breathe out. You'll automatically breathe in. Now, what's that got to do with public speaking? You know what? If you don't breathe properly and you're giving a speech, you're going to start sounding squeaky. Okay, you're going to start squeaking because you're not breathing properly. And when you're not breathing properly and you start sounding squeaky, you're going to put pressure on yourself and you're going to get more nervous and more nervous until, like some people do, just get off stage. Okay, but that's not for you. So before you go on stage, one of the techniques you should exercise is to breathe out, then you automatically breathe in. Do it about 7 times. That straight away, that gives you the calmness you need to go on and start speaking. So let's try that. Let's just do it once or twice. Okay, so we're going to breathe out. So we're going to go, then we breathe in, then we breathe out, then we breathe in, then we breathe out, then we breathe in. You see, I'm even more calm than when I began, okay? It really works. The second thing about your breathing technique is that once you get going and you are in your speech mode, make sure you take time to breathe, okay? Don't just talk and not breathe, because if you talk and not breathe, then you're going to sound like you're just going too fast. And if you're going too fast, you're going to get nervous and then you're going to miss your words and you're going to miss your speech. Okay, so it's good to take breaths in the middle of your speech, okay? So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about the techniques of using your body. The second, of course, is make sure your body isn't tense, okay? If your body is stiff and rigid, you'll come across as being nervous, right? To appear confident, you must come across as being relaxed. So try to loosen up yourself. Actually, it's good to do this exercise before you go on to speak, which is to kind of stretch yourself, stretch your arms, stretch your neck, stretch your legs, and kind of just shake a little bit and just stretch your legs and kick your legs and just, just relax your shoulders in particular, because shoulders, when they're tense, they get hunched up. And when you get hunched up, then you're likely to start feeling very tense and then nervous. Okay, so you want to kind of like relax your shoulders, and you want to just shake your body before you go on. So once you start speaking, even in the middle of the speech, you kind of, I'm going to talk about walking around in a minute. Just kind of just stretch yourself so that you have a much more relaxed posture, because your posture affects your delivery. Okay, so you need to remember that. Just stretch yourself before you actually go on to start speaking. The third technique I want to talk about is the use of your hands. Okay, so sometimes people get on stage and actually the hands are a little bit strange sometimes, because if you don't use your hands well, they start, your hands can start flying all over the place out of nerves, or they start shaking. Okay, so if you look at the image, let me go back to the first image on this slide. You will see that this particular lady, what she's doing is she's holding the mic with two hands. Okay, you can do that. It's allowable. You can hold the mic with two hands. She's holding the mic firmly with her left hand, and loosely the fingers is hanging on the mic with she's holding the mic firmly with her right hand, and then the left fingers are loosely around the microphone. So that way, you don't see her hands shaking, even if she were to be shaking. I don't think she was shaking, but if she were to be shaking, you wouldn't see that actually happening. So you need to use your hands very well. Another way to use your hands is if you have a podium like this guy in the blue shirt has. So he's resting his hands and holding the podium, and he's holding the podium not too tightly, but just kind of fixes his hands on it, so it's not shaking and flapping all over the place. Because hand gestures can be very effective, okay, if you use them very well, but they've got to be used in a natural way. So so one of the things I'll suggest to you for you to do is to film yourself giving a speech and then see how you use your hands. Okay, stretching your hands a little bit in front of you, and kind of like vibrating them or using them as an expression when you're talking is a good way to do it. Don't fold your arms, to your chest and, just standing like taking a posture of a defensive posture, so to speak. You don't want to do that, because that just makes you look, fed up or not wanting to be there, and that affects the way you deliver. So the best thing to do, I will assure you to do, is just film yourself for maybe just 10, 15 seconds or 30 seconds, just giving a speech, just talking about your day, or something like, or just pick a topic and just talk about it, and just see what happens with your hands. Avoid putting your hands in your pockets as well when you're giving a speech, unless you're one of those confident people, and the way you give your speech is that you have one hand in your pocket and you walk up and down the stage, and that's acceptable. If it looks good, then it's right. If it looks good, then it's right. Okay? If it makes you look more confident, and if you feel more confident, then it's right. Okay? But I don't know anyone who feels confident when their hands are shaking and their hands are vibrating all over the place. Okay? See you in the next lecture. Okay, we've come to the second part of the lecture where we're going to talk about use your body, the 7 simple techniques of using your body to actually overcome shyness or stage fright. So I'm going to give you 4 more. In the previous lecture, I gave you 3. Now I'm going to give you 4 more. So the first one is, don't stand in the same spot unless you have to. Okay, if you look at the picture that's on your screen right now, you find this guy in the blue shirt is standing in the same place. Okay, maybe he has to do that. All right, but if you don't have to do that, if you're talking to maybe some people in your workplace, and you're sitting down on a table. Okay, you gotta sit where you are. Or this guy could be standing in a place that is already defined as, the place where speakers should stand. Okay, so you stay there. But as much as possible, if you're doing a training course or something, you don't want to stand in the same place. You want to walk around the room. You want to use a a controller instead of having to stand by your laptop all the time to actually go from slide to slide. You might want to use a clicker so you can walk around the room. You can go put your hands on the shoulder of one of your students if you have to, as a means of connecting with them. You gotta be careful about that, but it does work if you do it right. So just kind of like, just make sure you use the space that is available to you rather than stand in one place. It gives you that freedom. And once you start expressing freedom in your movement, then you start expressing freedom in your language and in your communication as well. So it's a good thing to do. The second, number 5, the second on this slide, but number 5 is to use different facial expressions. You're not just having the same kind of look all the way through your speech. It will make you look really boring. Okay. Just remember not to go overboard with pulling, over exaggerated kind of face expressions, but having a smile like this guy has a smile on him is really good. When you're talking and you have a smile like I have right now, so I'm kind of smiling right now, even though you cannot see me yet. I want to do some videos where you can see me, but you cannot see me right now, but I'm smiling. So the words I'm saying are coming across, in a different way, as opposed to if I'm not smiling or I'm actually just frowning as I'm saying this. So it's different. So you you put expressions into your speech by your facial movement. Okay. Your facial movement affects the way you communicate. So it's always good to laugh, to smile, to wink, in your speech so that you connect with people on a different level. All right. Number 6, look around the room. Okay. This is a good one. There's always this huge debate amongst people who give speeches about whether to look at one person or to be able to look at the person at the back of the room as though you were actually looking at them, even though you are not, because you're looking over their head. Okay, I've used all of them. All right, sometimes you can, if you have a huge room and you have I don't know, 400 people or 400-seater place or 200-seat or even a 100-seater place or a 100-seater room, and you're talking to people and the people at the back, one of the techniques that I've used is I'll look just over their heads, just above their heads. I would concentrate my gaze just above their head. And because I'm standing in the front and I'm looking just above the head of the person at the back, that person automatically feels as though I'm actually looking at them, but I'm not actually looking at them. And, if you feel you don't want to look somebody in the eye directly, you can use that. But nowadays, if I want to look at you, I just look at you. Okay. But I tend to ensure that I look at every section of the room or every section of the hall. When you're speaking, try and look at every section. So you might focus on the right section, the front section, the left section. So you are looking at so it's kind of like it feels like you're giving everybody your attention. There are obviously certain people in the audience that encourage you as you're speaking, that you want to look at for encouragement, and you soon learn that as you go along. You soon learn that certain people in the room, they just give you that energy. So you might look at them from time to time to kind of get your energy up if you need to. But strictly speaking, you must look at every single person in the room, and people want you to look at them. The way you are the speaker, you are the authority, you are the one that knows the subject. You are the one they're paid to come and listen to. You are the ones that can help them. So they're looking for you to give them a gaze. So give them a gaze. Just have a look at them and smile. Look at them and smile. Look at them and smile with them. And that helps you to connect with the group you're talking to, with the audience you're talking to. And of course, once you connect with the audience, then the audience will get what you're saying, and they'll probably just respond better than if you were not. Okay. Number 7, be mindful of your posture. It may sound like a cliche, But to appear confident, it's important to stand up straight and look at your audience, okay? You gotta stand up straight. You're gonna have not a hunched back posture, like is low. I don't know what's wrong with me. No. Don't slouch. If you have a tendency to slouch, just make sure you practice your posture in front of the mirror so that you're always standing very straight. You're standing straight, and your posture is one of confidence. All right. You might want to look at yourself in the mirror when you are just give a speech in front of the mirror and see what you do with your posture. And you can kind of adjust yourself, as it were, or film it. Get somebody to film you. That's the kind of things I used to do. I still do. I still ask people to critique my speeches and to just give me some tips, because that's just the way you learn. You look at yourself in the mirror, record yourself, and with being mindful of your posture, you really got to record yourself to see how your posture affects the way that you speak. Okay? It might take a bit of practice if you're the one that is used to slouching and hunching your back. So you might have to practice a little bit more, but you will discover that as you use your posture properly, it will automatically affect your delivery. See you in the next lecture. In this particular lecture, we gave you tremendous amount of help to kind of get over shyness and stage fright in our using your body as the 7 techniques to overcome shyness or stage fright. We talked about the use of your hands, we talked about using your voice, we talked about so many other things that you can practice. So here's my point. The next time you get invited to give a speech, make sure you remember to use your body to appear more confident and get over the nerves that you may face, or the fear that you may face. Just remember though, that the more you practice these techniques, the more confident you come across on stage, and consequently, the more confident you'll begin to feel. So I have one conclusion for you, and it is this. Let's say it together. Say this to yourself. My body works for me and not against me. My body works for me and not against me. I'll see you in the next lecture. This is a quick reminder about discussions and review. So if you have any suggestions on how the course can be improved, please inbox me and I'll fix it quickly. And feel free to post any useful information you think may be of benefit to other students. The second thing I want to remind you about is, if you've gained any value from the course, kindly post a review as soon as possible so that we can spread the word about the course together. And finally, if you have any personal questions, remember that I'm here to help you. So just inbox me and I'll answer it as soon as possible. I'm always online, so just send me an inbox and I'll get back to you very quickly. All right, see you soon. In the next few lectures, we want to look at what great speakers do. What exactly do great speakers when they're nervous? What do they do? How they gesture? What do they do when they speak? How do they prepare? We want to learn so much from them. We want to see what great speakers do. So now that's what we want to talk about in the next lecture. So the whole idea of this is to emulate what others do successfully. So whatever we find that great speakers do very well, we want to copy that and inculcate that into the patterns or our own habits as well. So the whole idea of this is to think and act out your desire. Think and act out your desire. So perhaps you should do an exercise of thinking. Maybe you're on your way to work. Kind of think about what you want your day to be like and then follow it up with the required action. Let's see how you get on. Before you know it, you're going to become a great public speaker. So let's go straight into the lectures and I'll see you there. I've spoken to a few people that I consider to be great speakers. And from what they've said, I've kind of come up with the 6 things great speakers do. The 6 things great speakers do. Remember that in the beginning of this particular course, I told you something. it's not the amount of information you have that's going to make you successful. It's the amount of information you have that you then go on to practice with that's going to make you a great speaker. Okay. So, let's please consider hearing this stuff, embracing them, and then go ahead and put it into practice. You've got to put it into practice. Public speaking is never about just reading books. It's never about just listening to good lectures, good videos like mine, okay? It's never just about that. It's about practicing what's been said, okay? You're gonna gain value from the practice of what you do, not so much from listening only. So I'm gonna give you these 6 things that great speakers all do. So it says public speaking exercises that will change you into a great speaker forever, hopefully. Okay? Right. Number 1 is practice speaking in front of the mirror, in front of your mirror. And we talked about this earlier on in one of our lectures. We talked about practice in front of the mirror. One of the things that will alarm you when you begin to practice in front of the mirror or film yourself is you're going to discover the kind of things you do when you're nervous. Some people kind of touch their hair, some people touch their hands, some people scratch their feet, some people scratch their elbows, some people just pull their ears, some people, it will amaze you what you do when you get nervous. And by seeing yourself do those things, great speakers, what they do is they film themselves, they practice for the mirror, they get people to critique them, and through all that, they adjust their mannerisms. So what you want to do is adjust your mannerisms so that you begin to appear much more confident as opposed to much more nervous. So all great speakers, before they go on to speak, they practice their speech in front of the mirror, and you and I have got to do that. The second thing great speakers do is they practice what I call impromptu speeches. By that I mean that if you just get a friend to write down, ask a friend, a family member to write down random topics on little bits of paper and just choose one and just give a speech on that subject for about 5 minutes. That helps you to think on your feet. Great speakers are always able to think on their feet, and it comes by practice. Oh, I wish I could say this so many times. Public speaking, being great at public speaking comes by practice. It doesn't come because you're automatically born with it. It comes because it's a skill like driving. You learn to drive and then you drive better, hopefully. That's what it's all about. So, if somebody writes just some random, they could write about, space or air balloon or, the kind of subjects that you and I may not talk about that much. I don't know whether you do, but I don't. But, just think about giving a speech on any subject. Make it up as you go along. Tell a story. Make up a story as you go along because it'll help you to think on your feet. And all great speakers are able to do that. They're able to think on their feet, and practicing with impromptu speeches will definitely help you. Number 3 in this particular lecture is to develop your speech writing skills. So what I mean by that is simple. Every speech you give should have 3 parts to it. Number 1 is the introduction, all right? Then the content or the concept you want to pass across, and then finally your conclusion. So you should have a beginning, a middle, and an end to whatever speech you give, whether it's on a topic or it's on a lecture or whatever it is. It's got to have a beginning, middle, and end to it. So I remember one particular lecture that I gave and I forgot to put the end to it. And one of my students wrote me back and said, "Oh, Bumi, there was no conclusion." So I thought, oh my goodness, this is actually practice what I preach. So I went back and put in the conclusion in that particular lecture. Okay. So think about that. Let's all work on having beginnings as an introduction, the middle, the concept, pack it up with all the information you want to give, and then conclude. So all speeches, all great speakers, you will notice Welcome back. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about the 6 things that great speakers do, part 2. So let's go straight into it. Public speaking exercises that would change you into a great speaker forever. We've given you 3 in the previous lecture, and I'm going to give you another 3. Count how many times you use a filler word. A filler word. Filler word is yeah, yes, all those kind of little words we put in because either we're nervous or we don't know what to say next, or it's just the way that we speak. And too many of them can be bad. One of the things that I do is I say, okay, and I've got to watch that. So you've got to watch your filler words. One of the ways to find out whether you use filler words is to record yourself on an audio and then listen back to what you say. You will discover that you use filler words, and filler words can be too many if you're not careful, and they just make you not to look as good as you probably could look or sound as a great speaker. So you want to watch those and make sure you use less filler words so that you will deliver greater and greater speeches in your lifetime. Okay, it's important to cut them down. I don't think there's anyone that doesn't use filler words. I think they're great speakers who use less filler words. So what you and I want to do is to use less filler words as opposed to try to eliminate them completely. All right. Number five thing that great speakers do is they've learned to pick a good pace. Now, I've written down here, I said, practice speaking slower, because what happens when people go up to give a speech, the natural tendency is to speak so fast that they finish their speech, a 5-minute speech in 1 minute, or a 5-minute speech in 2 minutes, or an hour's long speech in 20 minutes, because it just rattle on so I can go sit down. But you need to practice speaking slower. Actually, you should use a combination of both, of speaking fast and then also speaking slow, because that gives a variation to your speech. And then that makes your speech very much more interesting to listen to. You don't want to be monotonous, just being on this kind of level always. You just keep on speaking like this. This is boring and will put people to sleep. So what you want to do is to vary the way that you communicate. That makes your content lots more interesting to listen to. You go on to listen to some lectures, and you find just in the first 5 minutes, you're kind of drained and you're falling asleep, maybe because the lecturer is monotonous. They've not practiced good public speaking techniques. When you practice good public speaking techniques and you become like these great speakers, you can vary your pace so that you keep people alive and tuned to you. And then finally, talking about what great speakers do. Oh, I love this one. Great speakers challenge themselves to give speeches without using cue cards. Great speakers challenge themselves to give speeches without using any kind of cards to enable them to remember things. So they just challenge themselves. So if you and I begin to do that more and more, we'll find out that we move from the realm of just being an okay speaker to becoming a great speaker. And that's what we all want to do. We want to get to the place where we're sounding so great, like the Les Browns, like the Brian Tracy's of this world, who are great speakers, like Zig Ziglar and, all those kind of guys who are really great. We want to be like that. That's what we're going to. So you can get there, I can get there, we can all get there together as long as we keep on practicing. So I'll see you in the next lecture. We've talked quite a bit on the 6 things great speakers do, the 6 things that great speakers do. So my thought in my mind, my thought is this: what are you waiting for? If you're interested in improving your skills as a public speaker, start practicing now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start now. Record yourself now. Do impromptu speeches now. Talk in front of the mirror now. Talk without cue cards now. Record yourself and listen back to what you say now, so that you can become the confident, charismatic speaker that you aspire to be. Now, I want to give you a concluding remark, and it is this: rather than spend your time worrying, spend your time practicing. That's the action point for this particular lecture. Spend your time practicing. Stop worrying. And as you spend your time practicing, you get better and better and better. I'll see you in the next lectures. If you've ever taken a driving test, you must know this. On the day of your driving test, there's only one person to captivate, and that's the examiner. If you fail to captivate him or her, you are going to fail. Period. It's the same thing when it comes to public speaking. You're going to learn to captivate your audience. If you fail to captivate your audience, then you're in big trouble. So I'm going to teach you the tricks of the trade, some of the things you can do to help you to learn how to captivate your audience. But before I do that, I want you to go out and do an exercise for me. I want you to give your full attention when you're speaking to people. Find 3 people over the next 3 days and give your full attention to them when they're speaking to you, and then respond. You will discover, because you've given them your full attention, when you respond to what they're saying to you, you would have learned how to captivate that person, because they're going to be so intrigued about what you want to say because you've listened to them. That's just something that can last you a lifetime, actually. That's a skill that can last you a lifetime. So I'm going to see you in the lectures where I'm going to show you the tricks of the trade and how you can learn to captivate an audience. See you on the inside. In this particular lecture, we're going to talk about 8 ways to captivate an audience. 8 ways to captivate an audience. But I will say up front now that surprisingly, entertaining audiences doesn't require unnatural levels of charisma or natural talent. You don't need, unnatural levels of talent or perhaps, huge amounts of charisma to do it. If you just practice certain techniques and tips, you just be as good as one of the great speakers who you might term to be very charismatic. So let's look at how we're going to do this. To master the art of public speaking, you'll need to learn how to captivate your audience. It is essentially important that you captivate your audience. So what can you do? Number one thing to do is to connect with your audience. Now, what amateur speakers tend to do, or the biggest mistake they make, is to focus and stare at their notes and focus on the wall, or not look at the audience and stuff like that. But you really don't want to do that. You want to practice the art of being able to look at people at all directions. And of course, when we talk about connecting with the audience, you've got to know your audience before you actually start delivering a speech. Because if you're delivering a speech to, let's say, fishermen, you're going to at least go find out something about fishing that you can use as an icebreaker, or at least say as part of the speech, that's going to help them to know that you've actually done some research and you're connecting with them. So it's hugely important that you connect with your audience by focusing your attention on them through looking at them, through eye contact, and also through some of the communication material you use. It needs to ensure that you're connecting with the audience that you're speaking to. The second area is about using humor. Now, I don't want to take this too far to the left or to the right either, but using humor can be a very good way to connect with your audience, because if you're able to make your audience laugh within the first few minutes of your speech, then you'll have no trouble just keeping their attention. In fact, why do you think comedians are so successful? Because the good ones, they're successful because people want to laugh, and when they laugh, they relax. Just make sure that you don't make no inappropriate jokes, because jokes that hinges on race or gender or religion or ethnicity and that kind of stuff, if you don't do it well, it can alienate people. But you got to find a way to inject a little bit of humor just naturally. But if you're not good at being funny, don't try and be funny if you're not. But I think all of us are funny if we just put our mind to it. And the more relaxed you become, the easier it is going to be for you to come up with a joke that works for your audience. Okay, number 3 way, how do you captivate an audience, is to deliver a coherent speech. Now, I talked about this earlier on, the beginning, the middle, and the end. I want to give you a little bit more detail about that. The beginning is the hook that draws people into the whole speech, and one of the techniques to use is to ask a question. I generally love to ask a question. So how many of us believe that if you try certain things, you're going to be successful? Or how many of us know, a name? How many of us know Steve Jobs? How many of us actually own an Apple product here? Can you wave your hand? And so, people, it does 2 things. It connects with the audience because you've asked a question, and also it interrupts them so that they can pay attention to you. So you using a coherent speech and using a question in the beginning of your coherent speech is a very good way to demand attention from your audience. So that's a very good way. Asking a question is a good way. Telling the story is a good way. I generally just use the question. I love the question one because it's worked for me so many times. So the middle of your speech, like I said earlier in one of the other lectures, is where you put your content. And this section is where you present most of your information on the subject, give direction, and use good examples. Then the end, I want to add a little bit more detail to the end of that, like I said earlier. The end, this is the most important part for most people. This is the memorable part. Your conclusions, the end is the most memorable part. Actually, most speakers will use this part of their speech maybe to sell a product or to sell their services. So you got to spend some time thinking about what you want to say at the end of your speech to challenge people into action. So I've given you a little bit more detail about the beginning, the middle, and the end of your speech. Such a coherent speech will captivate your audience. And, one more way to captivate your audience is to keep on topic. Keep on the topic. It's not unusual for speakers to kind of wander off topic and then if they're not careful, they lose the audience. So to make sure you stay on topic, you might want to put aside some time to kind of craft your speech or work on your speech and pay attention to the information and the key points you want to pass across to your audience. That will kind of keep you in line and keep your audience captivated. All right, I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome to the part 2 of the 8 ways to captivate an audience. 8 ways to captivate an audience. And in the previous lecture, we gave you quite a bit of information that can help you, or techniques that will help you to captivate your audience. Now I'm going to give you 4 more tips and techniques that will help you to captivate your audience. To master the art of public speaking, you need to learn how to captivate your audience. Okay, so let's go straight into it. Number 5 is to project your voice. Now, no one is going to pay attention to someone who cannot be heard. All right. So if you're in a large room, make sure you have a microphone to use to amplify your voice. And if you don't have a microphone to amplify your voice, you just gotta make sure that you project your voice so that people can hear you at the back. You know, the more you practice, the more you're gonna be able to project your voice. If you speak very softly, it's not about the texture of your voice. It's about the volume of your voice. So you need to work on giving more volume to your voice. Actually, if you can give volume when you want it, then you can raise your voice when you have to. And if you're a parent, we all do that very well because we know how to raise our voice when our children are doing something. We just want to stop them from doing it. Hey, stop that! You know, we can raise our voice. Nearly every single person can raise their voice to the next level. It's just about practice and confidence. All right. So it's extremely important for you to project your voice. People need to be able to hear you for them to be captivated by what you're saying. Number 6 is to use visual aids, good visual aids. There's a course on Udemy on PowerPoint, and I thought was really, really good. I think it's 8 tips on PowerPoint or something, which I had access to. And he kind of said that you must always use font type, maybe Tahoma or Verdana, and then, you know, it should be 32 font size should be 32. So that kind of gives you a good picture of what a good PowerPoint should look like. So don't shy away from using props or slides on PowerPoint, particularly if you're giving business presentations. It's always good to have things like graphs and statistics to illustrate your point a little bit more. So that helps you. Pictures always help to captivate an audience, so use them as much as you can. Number 7 is dress for success. It's a commonly known fact that most people make the initial judgment based on your appearance. So if you want to come across as a professional speaker, it's important to dress smartly. If you're not giving a business presentation, you might still consider dressing in such a way that presents you in a good light to people. So you gotta wear tidy iron clothes. We're gonna say this: wear tidy iron clothes. When you become like a really well-known speaker or film actor or that kind of stuff, maybe you can dress how you like. Maybe you can dress with tattoos on your face. I don't know, but if you're trying to get your way up there, and you gotta portray the right image, and people judge you by what they see. Remember that if you don't take yourself seriously, why should you expect your audience to take you seriously? I think that says it all, really. Finally, don't forget to enjoy yourself, or do enjoy yourself. You know, this point is really important. Do enjoy yourself. The best kind of public speakers, they ooze confidence, and they always seem to be enjoying themselves on stage. So if you learn to stop fearing public speaking and you start enjoying it, you'll be able to deliver better speeches to your audience, and they themselves begin to enjoy along with you. So enjoy yourself. See you in the next lecture. Here's my conclusion. If you keep these simple tips in mind, the next time you give a public speech, you see how easy it is for you to captivate your audience. And just remember that the more times you implement these tips, the more natural a public speaker you'll become. So it's all in the practice. Here's the action point for you. Make sure you inculcate these into your practice sessions. So when you're having your practice sessions, make sure that all the 8 tips we talked about, you do them, you practice them, you put them into your practice sessions, and do at least 4 of the above the next time you have the opportunity to present. Make sure you do them. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. It becomes more of like a part of you. And once it becomes natural to you, then you deliver better speeches and your audience enjoy you more, and you will captivate them a lot more than before. So let me know how all this is working out for you. It's really helped me to know that, okay, you're practicing these things and they're working or they're not working, and then ask questions and I'll be able to help you by giving you good answers or further tips to help. Okay, look forward to seeing you in the next lectures. If anyone had a choice, they would choose the easy route to take on the day of their driving test. But you don't have that luxury, so you don't choose where the instructor will take you. Well, there are some certain routes that they normally plow, but they don't have to go that way. They can go any way that they choose. Hey, the good news is when it comes to public speaking, many times you're able to choose the topics or the niches you want to speak for. So let's consider this. When you are choosing hot topics, which is what the lectures are going to be about, you need to be able to choose. I'm going to give you a technique that will help you to choose the right types of topics to speak about. Obviously, if you're going to talk about a topic, it's going to be something you're passionate about, something you're enthusiastic about. But how do you know what to choose? The technique is to use what I've called the past, present, and future approach to do two things. One is to use it to teach, to choose a topic, use it to choose a topic. And the second thing is to use this technique to deliver on your subject. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. If you want to choose a topic, a hot topic to talk about, think about what happened in your past, think about what's happening now, or what you desire in the future. So to choose a good topic, think about what happened in the past, what's happening now, and what you want to do in the future. Now, to deliver a good topic or to deliver that topic, work on it in past, present, and future too. So let's say you want to talk about parenting, for example. You might start by saying, in the past, this is what parenting was like. Today, this is what parenting is like. And in the future, parenting will become internet-based. I'm just joking. I don't know about that. But you're looking at past, present, future. So this one good technique will help you to choose a topic from your past, present, or future, and also enable you to deliver it using past as the beginning, present as the body of the message, and future as the concluding remarks on the topic. I really hope you get all that. Let me say it for you one more time. This one technique, you can use it to choose topics as well as deliver information on that topic. So to choose a topic, you might want to go back to your past to choose a topic, what's happening now, present, or future, what you want to achieve in future. As long as the topic is enthusiastic to you and you're passionate about it, you will choose the right one. Also, you can use this technique to deliver a topic. Past, present, and future. Past meaning what's happened in the past as a beginning or the introduction to the speech. Present will be the body of the speech, and the future will be the concluding remarks of the speech. All right. I'll see you in the lectures. In this lecture, we're going to talk about choosing engaging and relevant topics so that you can deliver a passionate speech. It's very important that you deliver a passionate speech when you're talking to an audience, either concerning work or a job situation, an interview, or maybe you're talking to a group of friends, or you're at a wedding, or you're at a party. Whatever it is, when you're going to give your speech, it's going to be loaded with passion. Passion gets people engaged, okay? So now, here's the point. When we talk about passion, people generally think, oh no, I don't know how to give a passionate speech. I'm not able to give a passionate speech. But that's not true. But what it is that you've got to choose the right engaging and relevant topics so that you can deliver a passionate speech. And as much as you can, try to choose a topic that you are passionate about. And the first thing that people might say is, I really am not, I cannot deliver a passionate speech. So let me tell you a story. In one of my workshops, I told this group of people that they're going to deliver a passionate speech for 2 minutes. And they all told me, they all said in different ways, oh, I cannot deliver a passionate speech. They all said that. So I said, okay, do you all have children? They all have children. So I said, okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. And I want you to respond to this scenario. I gave them this scenario. Now listen to this scenario. A school bus driver was found to be above the alcohol limit when he crashed into a tree with a busload of children. Many left the scene with minor scratches, but one of them ended up in intensive care, but fully recovered after 2 months. Now, the school where your own child attends is thinking of hiring that same driver. You are to respond as a parent, full stop. My goodness, the entire class that had previously told me they could not give a passionate speech forgot themselves and gave the speech of their life. I'm telling you, those speeches that were given that day were loaded with passion, love, and commitment. My point is this. You can give a passionate speech. You just need the right topic. That's all it is. That's all it is. You can give a passionate speech. You just need the right topic. So we're talking about what are the engaging and relevant topics that you could choose from. The first one I want to talk about is you can choose from talking about your favorite hobby. Most people participate in a few hobbies in their spare time. So if you're looking for a topic for an upcoming speech, or perhaps you should consider giving a topic about your favorite hobby. You will have so much to say. It will be loaded with fun. It will be loaded with compassion. It will be loaded with interesting topics, simply because you find it extremely relevant to you. And because you find it relevant to you, other people will be able to engage with it because you're going to deliver it with passion. Number two, another area to look at is perhaps family history. So if you're going to talk about your granddad or your grandma, maybe you talk about how they met, when they met, what they were doing at the time, what the earth was like at that time, or what the city was like at that time. If your granddad or your grandma were dancers or bankers or whatever profession they did, were farmers or whatever, then you can show photographs of those events or those relevant occasions. And you'll find yourself delivering a passionate, engaging speech because you have chosen to use your family history. Another area to talk about, we're going to come back and I'm going to give you 2 more or 3 more areas that you can choose from in the second part of choosing, engaging, and relevant topics. I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome to part 2 of choosing, engaging, and relevant topics. And we're talking about being able to deliver a speech passionately. Okay, being able to deliver a speech passionately. So we said the way to do that is you've got to choose engaging and relevant topics. First, not only to you, but also to the audience. But first, it's going to be to you. So you've got to choose a topic that you're passionate about. So I'm going to give you 3 more areas of topics that you could choose from. One of them is talking about your favorite book or band or movie. You know, when you're talking about your favorite book, band, or movie, it's a great idea because it will not require you to do loads of hours of research. Why? Because you already have the information, so much so it seems as though you are an expert on that topic. And a great stand you could take on it is to try to convince your audience that this favorite book of yours is worth reading, or this favorite movie of yours is worth watching. So if you're going to give a speech, try and choose something you already know very well that you're passionate about, like a book, like a band, or a movie. The number 4 area that you can choose relevant topics from is on current events. Maybe there's a huge disaster somewhere and you're a supporter of the Red Cross, or maybe you support a charity and one of your favorite charities is going to be involved in helping people, you can choose to talk about that. And as you do that, you're going to discover that passion automatically oozes out of you simply because it's a genuine area of interest. So let's not forget that area. Number 5 way number 5 arena to choose an engaging and relevant topic from that would enable you to deliver your speech in a passionate way is talk about your holiday, maybe a vacation that you went to, whether you travel domestically or internationally. Just giving a speech on one of your favorite vacation destinations is a great idea to enlist your passion to be able to work for you. So if you give a speech about one of your favorite vacations, make sure you describe the food, the sound, the smell, the travel, and all this kind of stuff, so that the audience can become engaged with you as you deliver your speech. Okay? So in this particular lectures, we've covered how to choose engaging and relevant topics. And I've given you 5 areas that you can choose from. You know what? You can come up with loads more. All right. But just make sure they're engaging to you and they're relevant topics to you so that you can ooze out loads of passion. See you in the next lecture. This is a quick reminder about discussions and review. So if you have any suggestions on how the course can be improved, please inbox me and I'll fix it quickly. And feel free to post any useful information you think may be of benefit to other students. The second thing I want to remind you about is, if you've gained any value from the course, kindly post a review as soon as possible so that we can spread the word about the course together. And finally, if you have any personal questions, remember that I'm here to help you. So just inbox me and I'll answer it as soon as possible. I'm always online, so just send me an inbox and I'll get back to you very quickly. All right, see you soon. In this particular lectures, we're going to be talking about how to prepare for our public speaking engagement. How do we prepare when we're about to give a speech? And just like driving or perhaps on your test day, you need to make sure that you're really prepared before you actually go on and do the test. And one of the ways that a good driving instructor will enable you to pass your test is by making sure you do a mock test. So I'm going to talk to you now about getting an evaluation. You want to get an evaluation of your own speech from a friend or a trusted family member or somebody who would definitely give you some constructive criticism. And I want you to do this exercise by using what I call the glove method, the glove exercise. The word glove is an acronym for gesture, language, organization, voice level, and enthusiasm. So the person carrying out the evaluation will assess your 2-minute speech or a 1.5 minute speech on any subject you like, on how you use gestures, how you use the language, how well organized or not your speech was, how you projected your voice, and whether you had any enthusiasm being portrayed, and they would just give you the feedback on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. That's one of the ways that you can prepare. So make sure you do this exercise. And now let's go straight into the lectures. See you soon. If you and I want to give the kind of speeches that make people sit on the edge of their seats and beg for more, then I'm going to show you how to prepare. I'm going to give you the 7 must-dos, the 7 things you must do to prepare for such a phenomenal speech that is, that's captivates your audience. So how do you prepare for that? So I've got here that to give a phenomenal speech, it's important to start preparing your material weeks in advance. let's say you're giving a speech about a topic that you already been given, weeks beforehand. I'm not talking about the impromptu speeches that you have to give at your friend's wedding, your friend's party, or, if you're speaking at your friend's wedding, then you already know that months and months in advance. So you're going to start preparing. So how do you prepare? What should you do? The first thing to do that I want to suggest to you is to practice your speech in front of someone, because getting a second opinion on your speech and its content is crucial, as people often find it difficult to objectively analyze their own speech. Maybe you're one of those kind of people that you find difficult to analyze what you're doing and how you're saying it, because generally people have a tendency to be overly critical of themselves. So you need someone who's a little bit more objective to give you a good view of your content and your style and your delivery, so that you can now take all these things on board. So find someone you trust, do your speech in front of them, and see what feedback you get, and see if you can adjust and improve on what you're doing. The second way to prepare is to work on memorizing your speech before the day. Too many people give mediocre speeches because they're trying to memorize their speech the night before, or, an hour before they're supposed to go give it. The more you have your speech in your mind without the need to look on paper, the more natural it feels. It feels more you when you are talking about something that emanates from your mind as opposed to your reading it on paper. So what you want to do is to practice and prepare your speech by memorization months or weeks in advance, where that's possible, so that you can come across more naturally. And the more you come across more naturally, the better it's going to be for you and for your audience. So you've got to remember that. So practice and then memorize your speech. The third thing that you must do is to get everything you need the night before. I don't know how much more I can say. Just get everything you need: your clothes, your USB. Okay, so if you're delivering a speech and you're using a PowerPoint, generally speaking, you will have been told to send your PowerPoint by email. But one of the things I do by practice is that I use a cloud on Google. Okay, so that's where I store much of my material. I also send it to two different emails, not only my Google email, but also another email like a Hotmail or one of my hosting sites emails. So I send it to there so that I make sure I can access those materials wherever I am. The other thing I'll do is to save it on my laptop, which I'm going to take with me, or I'll also print out what I'm going to talk about, my PowerPoints. I'll print out those slides. So I kind of make sure that I've got all bases covered. And I can only do that because I'm thinking well ahead. I'll give you one more tip that is really good. If you can have access to the venue where you're going to deliver a speech, if you can, if it's possible that you can access that venue, go to that venue the day before or a week before and deliver your speech from the stage which you're going to speak from. So kind of rehearse your speech in the same venue. Oh my goodness, that is such a great tip, because I've done that a few times and I always deliver something better. So when I was at the university, when I'm going to deliver a lecture that I think, this is a definitive lecture now, so I'm going to really do this well. So what I'll do is I'll wait behind. I'll already have the number of the number to the room which I'm going to deliver the speech, maybe the next day or 2 days in advance. Then I'll wait behind on one of my days and then go into that lecture theater and deliver a speech there by myself, to myself. And I'm telling you, when I then come back to deliver the lecture on the particular day, my goodness, it just seems to flow. It just flows. Oh my God, it just flows. And I just love that. So I've given you 3 things you must do now. You've got to practice your speech in front of someone, memorize your speech before the day, get everything you need the night before. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome back to how to prepare the 7 must-dos, 7 things you must do. I've given you 3 initially in part 1. I'm going to give you the other 4 now in this particular lecture. To give a phenomenal speech, it's important to start preparing your material weeks in advance, okay? So number 4 is be prepared for questions. If your audience are going to be given the opportunity to ask questions, then you need to be prepared to answer questions. So whilst you're in your preparation mode, start thinking about the kind of questions that people might ask. If you're an expert on your topic anyway, you kind of know the kind of questions that people ask you. So be prepared to answer those questions. Do not think that you may only be given the time to speak and then go sit down. Always prepare to answer questions is a good way to get yourself prepared. Okay, number 5, prepare a solid argument or point of view. Prepare a solid argument or point of view. Before you begin kind of writing your speech, it's important to clarify what position you are going to take if it's a kind of topic where you have to defend a particular position. As an example, if you plan to give a speech on maybe recycling, you could present the argument that households need to make an effort to recycle, or that recycling is overrated. Just depends on where you're going to sit. But whatever you choose to sit, be also prepared for the other side or the other point of view that you may need to argue against. So it's kind of very similar to the preparing for questions, but it's slightly different if you're given a speech that requires you to take a position, but then you will have to be able to defend that particular position. Number 6 is avoid being distracted. You've got to avoid being distracted, not only before your speech during the preparation time, but also actually within the hall, when you are in the place or the hall or the room where you're delivering. You know something? I've always found in nearly every time I've delivered a speech or I've given a lecture, there's always one person that is there to be a distraction. And you're going to know how to handle them. One is you try the polite method of I try that. Well, okay, let me talk about myself. I try the polite method of answering your question and then giving you time to talk. Then I'll move on to warning you to say, you know what, we got to give other people time to talk. They tend to be the ones that want to talk a lot. And you wonder, I'm the one here. I'm the one in front. You are not. If you're that great, why aren't you in front? But it's not to put them down, but they kind of just distract the class. You know what I'm talking about. Just distract the whole kind of lecture. So then I've got to now warn them that, you know what, if you feel that maybe class is not for you, maybe you've got to check out another class. And, but hey, put them in their place, avoid being distracted. It's very essential. Otherwise, you're going to get, you're just going to get into a one-to-one with the person instead of actually delivering your lecture to everyone. So it's about not being distracted both before you start, either by family or engagements, and also be prepared for not being distracted during the delivery period as well. Finally, stay within the time allocated. So as you're going through your practice, when you're in your practice mode, one of the things you want to do is to make sure that your speech fits well within the time frame. There's no point writing a brilliant 10-minute speech if you only allocated 5 minutes to speak, okay? People don't want you to go over time, maybe because they have other things planned. And you don't want to go over so that somebody feels they're not going to invite you back next time because you went over time and you really did not stick to what was pre-agreed. So when you're practicing, kind of find out the time, kind of find out how much time has been allocated to you and stay within that time. So you're going to be able to do that in your practice session so that on the day itself, you'll be able to deliver within time. All right. See you soon. Let's draw some conclusions now at the end of this, how to prepare the 7 must-dos. So next time you're invited to give a speech, simply look back on this handy list and use it as a guide through to help you from the stage of beginning to write down your speech to the actual moment you get on stage to actually deliver the speech itself. So here's my conclusion for you. Be willing to practice the above diligently. Just be willing to practice those 7 things. You got to be able to prepare yourself, stay within time, not be distracted, present a good argument, prepare to answer questions, make sure you get everything together the night before and practice your speech in front of someone. Let's remember to be willing to practice those and go practice it. And when you practice, let me know how you get on. Let me know whether it really works, because it's really worked for me and I'm sure it'll work for you too. See you in the next lectures. We've come to the end of the course. Well done. About a few months after writing the first draft of this course, I did a workshop just to try out the principles that I've just laid down for you in this particular course. So I had about 6 or 7 people that came on the course. I wanted a small group that I wanted to try it out. The course was based on teaching them some of these principles and then getting us to do a lot of practice, loads of exercises. Do you know what happened? After the course, those who came in feeling that, I don't want to talk, I don't want to really do public speaking, but I just know I have to, so that's why I'm here, kind of attitude, they all left feeling confident. As a matter of fact, 2 of them that I know of, one has now been on television, the second one is now the announcer in her church. You know what? I just know these principles work. I've used them, and I know that if you use them also, they're going to work for you. So what can I say? The biggest secret of this whole course, the biggest secret is the secret of practicing. When you practice, you're going to get great results. I've got here that as you practice, you get better and better. And the next time you give a speech, not only will your hearers be happy, you also will experience immense joy and satisfaction for overcoming one of the biggest fears known to man, the fear of public speaking. You got to do what Susan Jeffers says. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And as you continue to do that, you're going to find yourself improving, and sooner or later, you're going to find yourself ranked with the great, awesome speakers that you have come to admire. All right. I want to hear from you. So inbox me to my Udemy e-box or email me to boomi@startyourownbusinessacademy.com. And I look forward to hearing how you're progressing with all these tips that you've heard from me on this public speaking course. Look forward to hearing from you soon. God bless.